Hey, what's up everyone, Ollie here. So I wanted to do a video showing how I take minimalist product photography. I've done a dark and moody photography tutorial in the past. You guys seem to enjoy it, so I wanted to do a light and minimal one as well. I want to show you how to take pictures like this, and like this. So let's get into it and show you how to get it done. I also want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn new skills like web design, photography and video. It's perfect for anyone who wants to expand their knowledge and creativity and is suitable for both beginners and professionals. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and projects, and you can take them whenever you like and fit them around your schedule. With the current climate, it's a great time to learn a new skill or deepen an existing passion. One of my favorite topics is photography, and Skillshare has a collection of the top photography classes so you can master your skills. There is a class called Fundamentals of DSLR Photography by Justin Bridges, which is ideal for anyone who wants to master their camera. He goes into shutter speed, aperture and ISO and teaches you how to use them. Skillshare is also incredibly affordable, especially when you compare it to in-person classes and workshops. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. So make sure to check out the link in the description. The first 1,000 people will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. I also have a few classes of my own on Skillshare, so check them out. So like I've shown in my previous tutorial, I think it's always important to make sure that the space that you're taking pictures in is as clean as possible. Wipe it down, use a microfiber cloth, whatever it is, just to wipe everything down, make everything super clean. And then what I usually recommend getting is these sort of art boards, sort of plasterboards. So you can usually get these from any arts and crafts shops. They're only a few dollars, a few pounds. They're really not that expensive. And it's a really easy way to have a nice sort of backdrop to your pictures. And the great thing about this is you can just obviously close it all down, you can fold it up and just hide it away for later so it doesn't get dirty. It also doesn't matter what color your desk is if you have boards like this, because you can get them in different colors. We're using white ones, of course, to go for that minimalist style. When it comes to the camera we're using the Sony a7 III with the Tamron 28-75. Really nice, easy setup. And with the full frame sensor that it has, we'll get that nice depth of field as well. We also need to choose our test subjects, our things that we're going to be taking pictures of. So let's start with the Xbox controller. I think that'll probably be the easiest one. Put it down somewhere like there and we'll start taking some pictures. One of the great things about taking pictures like this is that I'm just using simple daylight. There isn't any fancy lights here. I just have daylight. I'm using my blinds. It's actually very snowy outside. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, we have a lot of snow right now. But anyway, I'm just using natural daylight. I think natural daylight is the best light that you can use. You get really nice, soft light with it. So no fancy lights here, just using natural daylight. So something that's really important is making sure that we set our white balance. So if we go into our white balance settings, we go down to custom, and we'll choose 5500 because that is around daylight and we want to make sure that all of our pictures have the same white balance across them. So now that we're set up, let's take some pictures. And then my final subject is just my iPhone. Now, as I mentioned, making sure that everything is super clean, wipe everything down, just so that your pictures look clean as well. What I also sometimes like to do is I like to get an MPF battery and then put the phone on top of the battery so that it looks like it's floating. Right, so now that we've taken our pictures, I've already imported them into Lightroom. As you can see here, I have a few photos that I've already imported. I've sort of deleted any rubbish ones and I've kept the ones which I think are worth editing. One thing I did want to note though that I didn't actually mention when I was taking the pictures is that when it comes to taking product photography, I highly recommend using a longer focal length when you can. So for example, I have here a picture taken at 28mm and then I have a picture here taken at 75mm. And you can see the difference between the two. The 28mm, because it's more of a wider angle, it sort of enlarges what's in front of the lens, what's nearest to the lens. So you can see the bottom of the controller is a bit more sort of larger, and the sort of left controller, the left handle of the controller, is a bit smaller. But then when we look at the 75mm, we can see that the picture just looks a bit flatter. It almost looks like it's a bit more compressed, and the shape of the product itself just looks a bit more natural. So yeah, when it comes to product photography, I highly recommend trying to use a longer focal length if you can. Like I said, I've got the 28-75 Tamron 2.8 lens on my camera, and the reason that I have this lens is so that I can change the focal length when I like and get the look that I want to quite easily without having to constantly change lenses. So let's start editing some photos. So we'll start with this shot here of the Xbox controller. I'll go to my presets. So I have a bunch of presets of my own. I'll leave a link to them in the description below if you guys are interested. And yeah, we can just hover over them very quickly, see what we like the look of. I think my favorite is always just going to be 0.3. I really like this one. If we see the before and after, we can see the difference that it makes to the image. It definitely crushes the blacks a little bit, but I like that look depending on the product, and we can change that whenever we need to as well. I also like to make sure that my images are quite bright. So let's brighten it up a little bit like so. Actually, I think that might be a bit too much. Around there, I think. We won't crush the blacks as much. Bring it down to like there. Let's also bring the contrast down. I like to make sure that my images have quite low contrast. I just personally like that look. I think it gives it more of a sort of minimalist look, you could say. Let's also bring down the highlights. Actually, let's bring them all the way down. And let's bring down the whites as well, maybe down to around 40. And then let's play around with our curves. So if we bring this point down here, we'll bring down the whites even further, make them a bit flatter. And then if we add a point here, and then we bring this point, we can see the sort of difference that makes to the highlights. Here is where it was before, and here it is afterwards. It sort of flattens the whites a little bit, but let's not make it too much. Let's also make sure actually we have a lens correction on. Lens correction, there we go. Lens correction, I highly recommend it all the time. It will just get rid of any sort of vignetting or distortion that the lens might have. What I also like to do is I like to bring down the temperature a little bit. So let's bring it down, make it a bit bluer, because that's my sort of look, that's my sort of aesthetic that I try to go for. I like to make my pictures have more of a sort of bluey hue to them. If we look at the before and after, we can see how much of a difference that makes. We can see we've definitely gone for a very minimalist sort of look. And the great thing about this, and like I said, if you do a lot of the preparation, a lot of the work before you actually edit the photos, editing the photos will be really nice and quick and easy. You don't need to spend time sort of doing all sorts of trickery to get the picture to look the way you want. Nice simple white backdrop, natural daylight lighting the subject, and just a simple one camera, one lens setup. Let's look at some other images. Let's copy and paste our edit. Let's paste it onto this picture here. So I think this picture is actually a bit too bright, so we can bring it down a tad, like so. There we go, already massive difference. Let's also get rid of our presets folder, and we can see the before and after. I really like it. Now we can also see that the shadows, the actual color of the controller changes a little bit. It's not that natural black anymore, it's more of a sort of greeny bluey tinge to it. I personally like that. Completely understand if other people don't like the look of that, but yeah, I just like that sort of hue to my blacks in my pictures. So let's go on and edit some others. Let's copy and paste our edits. Yeah, I really like these pictures. I think they're looking very, very good. We can actually bring down the shadows a little bit, like so. Yeah, I think that's looking really good. Let's edit some other products. So I have my AirPods Max here. Let's copy and paste those edits instantly. I love the look of it already. Just makes such a difference. Let's also do it for this one. Let's do it for this one. Let's just quickly go through them. Because of the edits I've made, I tried to keep them quite minimal, and I don't want to go too over the top, so that I can apply them quite consistently across images. This one, I really like the look of this image actually. I think this image looks great. Let's bring up the brightness a little bit. That looked great. I love the look of this one. This is actually probably one of my favorite images. Let's crop it as well because it's not completely centered. There we go. fantastic. I love the look of this one. Let's go through and edit some others. I like this close-up shot actually, but it's definitely too bright with the edit. Let's bring it down a tad. There we are. Another image here. Let's bring down the brightness. You can see here actually, I haven't wiped down the product well enough. You can see on the headband, there's a bit of dust. And like I said, wiping down the products beforehand, it will just save you a lot of time when it comes to editing, because you don't have to manually go into Photoshop, get rid of any dust and dirt or whatever it is. Trying to keep your space as clean as possible will make it so much easier for you afterwards. So those are the AirPods Max images. Let's go over to the iPhone. I really like this one, this floating iPhone shot. I think that might be a bit too bright. There we are. That just looks awesome. I'm actually really happy with this shot. I might upload it to my Instagram. It looks great. Let's continue. Let's copy that, paste it over. Again, these are some bangers. I tell you, these are some bangers. I like these pictures. Let's brighten this one up as well. If we wanted to go really, really minimalist, we could bring down the saturation even further, just to completely desaturate the image pretty much. And yeah, you know, you just go for a very nice, proper minimalist vibe. I like to have a little bit of colour at least. Another shot of the phone standing up. That looks great. I really like this one. One thing I also like to do, like in this image, is add something in the foreground. So all I've done is I've pointed the camera a bit lower than the desk itself, a bit lower than the cardboard that it was sitting on. And it just adds a nice sort of blurry layer to the image. I like the look of it. Some people might not like the look of it. I just think it adds some character. If we copy and paste our edits, that just looks awesome. I really, really like it. And these are images that would look great in a product review or something like that, or in a magazine. That's what I always try to go for. I try to go for a magazine type look. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I take minimalist product photography. Now, this camera here, I did want to quickly say, I've had this camera for nearly 3 years now, the Sony a7 III. And it's probably one of the best investments I've ever made. It's such a good camera. It's not light by any means. I wouldn't say it's an ideal travel camera, but obviously it's not as big as some of the other full frame cameras out there. But I've been impressed at just how versatile it has been. I've actually used it as my YouTube camera ever since I got it back in 2018. I only recently switched over to the Sony a7S III, which is what I'm using now. I'll have a review on the Sony a7S III coming very soon, but I've been using the Sony a7S III since sort of November time, I think it was, November, December, maybe October actually. Before that I was using this, and this is the camera I recommend to anyone who has a nice healthy budget. They're looking for a full frame camera that can do nearly everything, photo, video, whatever it may be. This is such a good camera. And Sony have expanded their E-mount lens system so well. You can get lenses for pretty much anything and everything now, from all different brands as well. You don't have to go with Sony lenses. You can get lenses from Samyang, you can get lenses from Tamron and from Sigma. These are big lens manufacturers, and all they do is make lenses. So most of these lenses are going to be more than good enough for most people who do photography and video. Now, of course, if you're a professional photographer, someone who's doing stuff for billboards and stuff like that, and you want the best that you can get, then yeah, go for the G Master lenses. But this Tamron 28-75 is the lens that I would recommend to anyone who's picking up a Sony a7 III or any full frame Sony camera. It's so affordable, it's so versatile, it's great for photo and video, and it's also very light and compact. You can get smaller lenses than this, of course, if you're looking for a very compact setup, but if you're looking for a versatile setup, this is it. Also, check this out. I actually picked this up from Amazon for like £20, $20, and it actually comes as a set of two. There's also one that's a cloud. I don't have it here. Actually, no, I do have it here. Bear with me. There we go. So there's a cloud one here as well, and I just think they're awesome. You know, it's a nice little backdrop to my videos. Let me put it back quickly. The great thing about them is that they can be powered via USB. So I have it actually plugged in via USB, or you can put batteries in them. So you can have it both ways with these, and they're so cheap, so affordable. You can't change the color or the brightness, but they make really good accessories for being a backdrop in a shot like this that I have. Anyway, I'm sort of getting a bit sidetracked. For those who got to the end of the video, please leave a comment below. I'd love to see who got to the end of the video. It's just nice to see who gets to the end of my videos, basically. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe for more.